boxes today, man. I messed up 9 drawer boxes, an entire dresser's worth of drawer boxes. I don't know what the hell I did. Normally, I figure out the spacing on my slides, and then I'll write down what that number is, and then I add on 3/4 of an inch for each side of my drawer box. And I must have got distracted. I have no idea. But I wrote down all the dimensions to every single one of the distances between the slides, but I didn't add that 3/4, and I started cutting out drawer box parts, and I literally started gluing them up. And then one of them was dry, and I went over and I was going to start putting all the undermount brackets and everything on it, and then I realized what had happened. I was just like, oh shit, and go take everything apart, save whatever parts I could. And anyway, so every one of my I don't know what you call that particular side of the drawer box, the long side of the drawer box, it was 3/4 of an inch too short. So, oh God, what a freaking crappy way to end the day on Friday. So anyway, I'm in here this morning. I got all my drawer boxes fixed yesterday. Now I'm back to gluing up drawer boxes today. So I lost hours, and that's just how it goes. Like, you can do this stuff forever and still make the dumbest freaking mistakes. Anyway, so that's what I did. But anyway, so not enough about that. I gotta make 18 drawer boxes is what I gotta do. So anyway, what we're talking about is de minimis, right? And this is people might not even know what this means, but basically you've seen these companies like Temu and Shein, like the advertising on these things is insane. Like, you just see their ads absolutely everywhere. You can buy an entire house for like $8, and you can buy, entire jackets for 99 cents. And you're just like, how the hell do you do that? And truth is that these people are importing their stuff in from China, where these large factories are, and they don't have to pay the same duties and tariffs that we had to pay here in America for that kind of stuff. The product itself doesn't have to go through the same scrutiny through customs as traditional containerized products do, right? And this is important to talk about as furniture makers and people that want to be in the furniture and painting space, because a lot of the furniture that people are selling today comes in through customs, right? It has to go through container ships, through the ports, and it requires a lot of scrutiny. So when you order something overseas, it can take 3 to even 4 months to get it back over here to America, right? So it's quite a long process to get stuff from another country into America. Then that's why they generally order tons of it. They'll order in 6 months worth of product on one shipment. So it's kind of important to understand what this de minimis thing means for companies here in America, right? So if you're one of these people that sells American product, right? You make your product here in America, but business is tough. We'd have to make things here yourself. This de minimis thing is actually going to help you, provided you're not one of these people that takes all your products, imports them from China, or wherever, Indonesia, or any one of these places, right? If you don't import this stuff, there's going to be less access to those products for other people, which is going to make it easier for you to sell your product, right? It might not mean you get more sales, but you're going to get more eyeballs. And this is one of the things I talk about with this tariffs discussion, right? Everyone talks, the cost of everything's going to get so expensive. It's going to be so expensive, and it's going to be ridiculous, and no one's going to be able to afford anything, okay? We're going to talk about why nobody can afford anything. That's what this talk is really about today. I'm using de minimis as a way to kind of explain it in a very simple way what this means for people. But the reason you can't afford to start a small business in America is because of things like de minimis, okay? It's also because of things like foreign labor. And what happens when that foreign labor replaces American labor, right? What is it that people do with that savings and money, okay? The reason property is so expensive, and this goes for houses, it goes for automobiles, it goes for everything, is because they're taking that excess capital and they're driving the price of everything in America up, because everything for them is super affordable now, because they're paying 10 cents on the dollar for labor and for products, right? Whereas you're paying the full freight as an American manufacturer or someone that wants to have a business here in America, right? So you have to pay for everything. These people pay for nothing, right? So we're going to talk about that, and it's so insidious, guys. Like I like to use the example of Restoration Hardware, because everyone knows that company, right? It's a very well-known company. It's a good company. And I see we got comments coming in. I'll jump on comments in a second. Hit the like button. Add to the discussion, guys. I really appreciate it. But anyway, the thing about Restoration Hardware, because everyone knows this company, is they're considered a fairly high-end furniture company, right? But the truth is that the bulk of their case goods, and in fact, the majority of their case goods, are actually made over in Vietnam. Right? And they're made in China. They're made all over the place. They like to say we have worldly artisans, right? Worldly craftsmen. And that's just a workaround to say all of our shit's made in another country. But truth is, okay, so here's how it works, right? So when, we'll use Admiral Kirk. Hey, crackhead. Admiral Kirk, when when you're, making a dresser, right? You're making a dresser. Well, Gary Friedman, who owns Restoration Hardware, is the CEO of Restoration Hardware. He says, you know what? Like, our sales are pretty good, profits are pretty good, but we could do a lot better. Like, let's see what we can do about making things overseas. So they go, hey, Admiral Kirk, how do you make this thing, right? And Admiral Kirk shows them, well, this is what we're doing. Here's the designs. Okay, well, the CEO of Restoration Hardware says, great, all right, I'm going to send that over to China. There's people over China who want business, and they're great at making stuff, right? They got these factories over there. The governments have helped build up all of these institutions so that these industries can thrive over there. Anyway, so they take that design over there, right? And then, so Admiral Kirk's making $20 an hour. He gets dental, healthcare, 401k. He has workplace protections. He has environmental protections. He can sue his employer. There's just all kinds of things that Admiral Kirk has that most people don't have, okay? So the CEO of Restoration Hardware says, great, we're gonna look at sending this thing overseas. Well, CEO of Restoration Hardware probably spends, thousands of dollars to develop that product, maybe even millions of dollars to develop that product over in China. Well, once that happens, right, he says to Admiral Kirk, Admiral Kirk, we're going to have somebody else do your job, right? But you're going to be able to do something else for us. We're going to give you a different job, right? You can, go work on our upholstery factory in North Carolina. You can go back to school. We'll help you go back to school. You can learn to code. We heard that one. You can learn how to do marketing. You can learn how to do HR. Anyway, they'll help you to retool or to re-educate. They'll help you to do all these things. But truth is, Admiral Kirk says, well, yeah, but I like to make furniture. Like, this is what I've been doing. My dad made furniture. I like to make furniture. And CEO of Restoration Hardware says, yeah, well, I'm sorry, we don't have anything for you then, right? So Admiral Kirk has to go work for somebody else. And truth is, Admiral Kirk will make money working for somebody else right now, right? And as more and more of these companies move that work overseas, eventually Admiral Kirk's wages start to go down, his benefits start to go down, and there's nothing for him to do unless he wants to retool, which is cool. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. That's just kind of the progression of society. But here's the insidious thing, guys. So what happens is Restoration Hardware takes all that money that they're saving by not employing Admiral Kirk anymore. They're employing, Admiral Zhang or Zhang, whatever you want to, they're employing somebody else for 10 cents on the dollar, okay? They're taking all of that money, they're bringing it back to America because they're still selling the product for the same price that they were selling it for when Admiral Kirk was making it, right? Paying out all those benefits. They're selling it for the same price, right? But they are now hiring a marketing person, right? They're spending money on advertising. They're spending money on brick and mortar, right? Retail locations. They're spending money on new offices for all of their office workers, right? All the administrative people that need to help run this company. And every one of those jobs that they send over to China is being replaced with somebody else that performs a function that is anything but making furniture, right? Which is fine, okay? Now, what they're doing is they have all this excess capital coming in, right? Because there's no environmental regulations, there's no workplace safety standards. There's employees aren't going to sue their employees over in China. All these things don't exist over there. So they take that excess capital that they bring back into America and they spend tons of money on real estate, right? They're buying the nicest places to put all of their stores, right? Have you ever been to a Restoration Hardware store? It's pretty badass, right? And they only put them in the nicest locations. How can you afford to do that if you don't outsource your labor, right? And the answer is you can't. You can't afford it, right? And if you can, it takes years and years and years, right? Or you need to have a massive injection of capital, right? Which most of us are never going to have, right? We don't have access to, we don't have the network, right? So if you look at the background of all these CEOs of these large corporations, they all went to the same colleges. They all know the same people. They're all cut from the same cloth, right? And the truth is that all this capital kind of hovers around these people and around these particular kinds of people, right? So it's very insidious. So they bring all that capital back to America. They cause the price of your rent, right? The houses get more expensive, right? Because truth is these people don't want to live next to normies, right? So they're knocking down all the regular houses. They're building up super nice houses and they're buying all the properties around them and all their buddies are doing the same thing. Before you know it, you end up with places like Jupiter Island in Florida where you can't even move there for less than 20 million bucks. And this proliferates all across America. So we're all basically relegated to the Midwest, flyover country. That's the only place that normies can afford to live anymore. So what these guys are doing is just causing the price of everything to go up. absolutely everything. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be automobiles, insurance, right? When these people want more expensive houses and they want more expensive automobiles and they want more expensive real estate, they want more expensive everything, the cost of to insure those things goes up, right? When they bring all that capital back to America from cheap labor, they want nicer retail locations. They want nicer everything. The insurance for all that is more expensive. The property tax is more expensive, and it just filters its way down to the normies, right? The normal people. And it's bad, guys. Like, this is what is going on. So this Temu thing and this de minimis thing that's getting ready to happen is kind of a shot across the bow from this current administration. And I'm not trying to make this a political thing, but the truth is that this administration is trying to rein in what corporations are doing to America, right? They're literally trying to rein it all in. And it's going to be very difficult, but this is the first thing. This is the first step. So these people, and if anyone's ever been on Etsy, Etsy used to be known as a place for like artisans and people that wanted to have their own businesses and, you know, small businesses, make a small middle class living. They could sell their goods, and it was fantastic. But eventually what happened with Etsy is they started to allow handmade anything, right? So if you're slave labor in China, technically it's handmade. So if you get on Etsy now, you'll see tons of this shit all over the place. So that site is ruined, right? But they don't care because Etsy got bought up by Investor Capital, right? Investor Capital basically did this to Etsy, right? You can go back and listen to the stories. So a lot of people can't make money on Etsy anymore. It's just a complete shit show. And this de minimis thing is going to wreak havoc on those people, right? So Etsy may go back to being more of a handmade kind of like, you make your things in America, you make them in your garage, you make them in your little factory, right? And then you can sell them on Etsy, you know? So this is going to be interesting. I think it's going to be a good thing. I'm really excited for this thing to happen because the truth is that you shouldn't be able to buy something from China, right, and sell it over here as if it was made by America, right, or it's an American product and charge American dollars. Because the truth is that most people in my space, and I'm generalizing here, guys, but most people in my space, we don't want to run businesses, right? We want to own a company, but we want to make shit. And this is the thing that has I think has really wrecked kind of what it means to really be an American, to really enjoy your life and have meaning and purpose, is we got too many people that are showing off their Lambos and their high-rise penthouses in Miami, right? Saying how amazing they got at buying crypto and, I'm a business owner, I'm an entrepreneur. They say all this shit. And the truth is that they're not a good representation of what America is. America is hardworking people that just want to raise their kids, lead normal lives, and just not really even think about any of this shit. Nobody wants to think about tariffs. Nobody wants to think about, foreign countries dropping tons of cheap shit in America and then putting a lot of Americans out of business. Nobody wants to think about that kind of stuff. But it's happening, and it's a big problem, So this de minimis thing, which happens May 2nd, is really going to put a crimp or put the kibosh on all this cheap shit coming in from these other countries, and then businesses saying, we make this stuff, we manufacture this stuff, this is our product, we make the best products ever. Like, we hear this kind of stuff all the time. These people are full of shit. They're all full of shit. They don't make anything. All they're doing is hawking some garbage product that's made overseas, bringing it back to America, and then trying to sell it to you as though it's some handcrafted, amazing product, right? So this is the conversation we're getting ready to have. This de minimis thing is really going to help, again, to beat some of this bullshit back, because you're going to go on Etsy one day and see that this whatever thing you were buying was $35, and then the next day you're going to see that it's, $80. You're going to go, what the fuck happened here? Like, did your costs really go up 80%? You're going to find out these people aren't making things here in America. They're just not. And they're giving the illusion that they are. And truth is that they're not making anything here, right? So this administration, I think, is making it harder for people to sell this idea of handmade. Like, it just drives me crazy. It absolutely drives me crazy. I say it all the time. Like, Nikes are handmade. Like, Nike doesn't talk about the quality or the artisanship of their shoes, because everyone knows they're all made in sweatshops with slave labor. Like, this is nothing new. Right? And the labor is so cheap and the cost of the product is so cheap that they could actually take a factory full of hundreds or even thousands of people, and they could move those operations to a completely different country and still not lose any money at the end of the year. Like, that's crazy. That's insane. And that's what we're dealing with, okay? Another thing that that I wanted to talk about that is kind of in the same vein is I'm noticing the more this tariff thing gets talked about and this de minimis thing gets talked about, a lot of companies are crying about tariffs, right? And it's a big problem. Again, and I feel bad for people. No one should have their livelihood, basically upended, with a stroke of a pen. Like that's really crazy that can happen. But that's just life. And the truth is that everybody is saying, we manufacture this, we make that. Our product is amazing. Our artisans are amazing. We have the best craftspeople in the world. And then when you say, well, great, what is it that you make? They'll say, well, we make game boards. Or they'll say, we make furniture. And you say, well, awesome, where's your factory? I'd like to go check it out. Where can I buy your products? They'll be like, oh, they're online. Or they'll say, we don't have a factory here. Or we have a retail location. And truth is, they're not making anything. And that's one of the things I think, and I was talking to my wife about this morning. We were saying, name a company, an American company, that makes a product in America that is not a digital product or a service, that makes an American product where it's actually American. Because truth is, I couldn't name one. And your immediate thought is, well, what about the automakers? Truth is that most of your automakers make most of their shit in Mexico. All the wiring harnesses, a lot of the stamped parts, a lot of stuff, it's all made there and sent up here and it's assembled here, which is fine. But the truth is, it's very hard to call yourself an American company when most of your shit's made in other countries. And this is, I think, what's kind of eroded what we have going on in America today. We got too many people claiming that they make stuff. They don't make anything. There's a real popular viral person talking about, it's like a baby product. I don't even know what the hell it is, but it's some kind of a baby product. And they talk about, oh, I love my employees, and I love the people that make my products, and I love the people that, we exchange gifts over the holidays. And you're like, well, where's this factory? And they're like, oh, it's over in Shenzhen. And you're like, what the fuck? They talk about these people like they're their friends and they're, their cousins or whatever. And they go hang out with them during the holidays. And it's all a ruse, people. It is 100% a ruse. There was another one called, it's a running shoe company, Atreyu Running. Guy had the same thing going on. They're talking about, oh, we get containers of my shoes from China. I talk to my people over there and we make shoes, and you don't make anything. And again, this is a major problem in America today, because the truth is that when you outsource all your labor to other countries, you can actually move a lot faster. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But you're moving so fast. That's what happened. What's happening is the people back in America that are part of, we could even say the older generation or the up and coming generations, they can't move that fast. And you're leaving a lot of people behind for the sake of profit. And then you're driving the cost of everything else up in America because you have this massive flood of capital into, or not capital, profits into capital because of all the manufacturing that goes overseas. So it's a major problem. And I think we're getting ready to have this conversation, and it's going to be good. It's really going to be good, and it's gonna put a spotlight on all of these people that talk about manufacturing and they talk about their products, but they don't make anything, and that's not what it means to be an American manufacturer today. And I'll take the Pepsi challenge with anyone on this. You can make a product, we got a local person here in St. Louis that it's called Genius Games or something like that. And I listened to an interview with this guy, and he was saying, oh, the manufacturing is so much better in China. We can't make the same high quality stuff here. And I got on this guy's website, I'm looking at what he makes, and I'm like, you make freaking board games and baby toys and things like that. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? We can't make this stuff here. This shit all used to be made here. Every bit of it used to be made here. We can't make it anymore. It's like, no, we don't want to make it anymore because it's too hard, right? You can't have a 90% markup on your product if you have to make it in America. And that's the big difference between small business and big business, right? That's the difference between the guy that has an MBA from Harvard and the guy that just graduated high school and wants to run a company or start a company here in America. You can't compete with these people because they want different things. The guy with the MBA just wants to make money, right? The guy that has a small business in America wants to have a small business and wants to pass it down to his kids and wants to show his kids how to make things, how to produce things. The guy that has the company in China just wants to make money, and he'll teach his kids just how to make money. Do you guys see the difference here? So it's a major problem, and it's basically eroding what made this country. So anyway, it's a long rant, guys. I got a lot of stuff to talk about. So Let's go to the comments, and I'm sure I just ranted for way too long. Okay, Admiral Kirk, hey, crackhead. Yes, Admiral Kirk. I used you as an example on how your job basically leaves America. Okay, don't say that. Good to know about these stuff. This is as edits. Yep. Good to hear as. Then we got, who's this? Can't pronounce your name. Hi from Kazakhstan. All right, cool, man. Actually, I don't even know where. Is it Kazakhstan? I don't know where the hell that's at. I know it's probably got to be over there, probably Eastern Europe. I would imagine. But anyway, yeah, good you guys are here. And again, this conversation is a little bit. We're talking about de minimis. Basically they're going to raise the amount of money we're paying for this cheap shit from overseas, the stuff that doesn't have to go through customs, that is basically direct shipped from China over here to America. So especially things that are like on Etsy, like a lot of that shit is de minimis, right? So it's exempt from that. Whereas now, starting May 2nd, all that shit, you're gonna have to pay for it, right? And it's gonna have to go through customs, and you're gonna, it's gonna get expensive, and that's a good thing. We don't want everybody in the sun wanting to start businesses just to make money. Right? This is not healthy, and it's not good for the country because it diminishes what it means to work hard, right? You end up with a bunch of lazy, entitled people that get pissed off because they can't make $150,000 a year, working 40 hours a week in some office. It diminishes the people that work really hard. The reason farmers have to export their crops is because they can't sell it for enough here in America. Right? It just doesn't work anymore, So we have to get back to a place where the people that do the real work are compensated for it. And yeah, that means you're not going to be able to buy 100 t-shirts a year. You might only get to buy 10. You might only get to buy 10. And when you talk about how, I want to have clean air and I want to have clean drinking water and a safe place to work, but I'm going to buy all my shit from places that don't have any of it, you're a fucking hypocrite. And you're going to have to look at yourself in the mirror when everybody knows you're a hypocrite. These people that talk about, we can't make this stuff here in America. And you say, well, how come? We don't have the technology. Well, what is it that you make? Well, I make board games. Look, you fucking telling me we don't have the technology to make cardboard, and some little color engravings. Like, I do that shit all the time. Like, I get custom boxes made all over the place. Like, it's not a big deal. You can get it made any size you want, any quality you want. I got massive Love Box Company. They're all over the place. Like, you can't tell me we don't have that technology here. The problem is you can't make the profit margin that you want to make. That's the problem. All you want to do is make a massive 90 or 100% profit margin on your product. Rather than employ people in America and teach people how to do things here, you would rather make all your money over there, pocket that cash here, go buy yourself a super nice house, a nice car, a boat, put your kids in the best schools, raise the prices of everything for everybody else in America, right? And in hopes that you get on one of these finance shows and they'll talk about how amazing you are. They'll stroke your ego. They'll say, you're so good. And the truth is, you're not really good at manufacturing. You're just good at outsourcing all your shit overseas. That's what you're good at. You're good at supply chain management. You're good at advertising. Like, just be honest about it. You're not good at making products because you don't make any products. And we're gonna change this. So sorry, guys. Admiral Kirk. Okay, yeah, great comment, dude. Yeah, and maybe I'm way off base. Maybe it's really not this issue. Maybe it's not important to people. I don't know. I'm not sure if it is, but it's really important to me. And as someone, again, who makes things in America and works really hard, I'm in here on Saturday. I'm in here on Sunday. I work pretty much every day of the week so that I can make furniture, and that's what it's come down to. It's just very difficult. Now I could certainly make my stuff overseas. It cost about $5,000 a piece to develop it, right? To get the tooling down, to get the production down, the drawings, the engineering, the CNC cut profiles. It's not that bad. And then I could just, instead of making payroll every week for my builders and my sanders and my painters, right, having to deal with those sales, I could just take out a fat loan, right, once a year, take out, say, I don't know, it probably would cost me $300,000, right? I take out a fat loan, January 1st, $300,000. I make my order. I'm going to buy, 30 of these, 40 of those, 100 of those. I basically project what my sales are going to be for the year. And I know, because I've been doing this for 8 years at this point, I have a pretty good idea what I'm going to sell. And I just buy all that shit. I front load it, $300,000. And then the rest of the year, I'm getting that shit brought in and I'm selling it and I'm turning it over to pay down that loan until I get in the black, right? We get to Black Friday where suddenly I'm starting to make profit and I get to make all my money for the year. Like, this is the normal business model. And truth is that for that business model to work, you can't make anything, and there's no incentive to. So our business model here is very different. We have to make payroll every week. We have to sell things every week. We have to make sure we have people here to make stuff. We don't keep shit tons of inventory in here. I mean, you've seen my stock room or my where I keep all my plywoods and all my hardwoods. I might keep a couple $1,000s worth of hardwoods, and I might keep $1,000 worth of plywoods. And I'm constantly ordering material, right? Because we don't have the excess capital, right? We don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars in our bank account every month. We don't have millions of dollars, because that's not how real businesses work. Now, if I sent all my shit overseas, I could double or even triple my margins, and then I could have more capital on hand all the time. But it's not how we do it, So anyway, okay. Admiral Kirk. Oh, dude, like, what do you do, Admiral Kirk? I want to know. Like, you make these kind of comments. Is it just like you're looking for interaction, or you not have any friends? Does nobody talk to you? Or is this like where you kind of get your interaction for the day? I don't know. I'm always curious why people make these kind of just innocuous comments. I don't know what the word would be. So anyway, I'll go back to the Temu thing and talk about what's going on with tariffs and importing and how this is going to give small businesses more opportunities to sell goods. I mean, plain and simple. Plain and simple. If you're one of these people that used to be on Etsy, and then you saw how Etsy basically fucked over everyone that started there by letting all this cheap garbage come in, you may have more opportunities to sell stuff on Etsy, because it's going to be too expensive for most of these people, because most of these people, they're just part-time people, selling stuff. That's all they're doing. They're not really in the business of making things. They're not really in the business of business, to be quite honest with you. They're just they found some cheap shit product over in another country, and they do what's called white labeling. They white label it, put their name on it, and then they sell it here as though they made it. And truth is, they're not making anything. They're not making nothing, and it's to be quite honest, it's sad. Like, I don't know what happened to this country where we traded the idea of real work for fake work. We, instead of making a product and building a brand, we just started with building a brand and then finding a product. It's completely ass backwards. It generally takes years to develop a brand, to develop a product, and to build up a customer base. Now people just start off with, they find a good graphic for their name, they do a little bit of marketing and advertisement, and then they find a product to sell. And they'll put their name on anything, because they don't make anything. Their passion isn't the product that they sell. Their passion is making money, is being a brand, is trying to be successful. Very different than trying to make something. So anyway, I hope that makes sense to people. Like I said, that opinion is not for everyone. But again, I'm just small business here in St. Louis, have 7 employees, who all make shit, who all do things, really like their work. We actually have to deliver our product. We keep our delivery people on staff. They're not, third parties like a lot of people do. We pay them, and it's very expensive to deliver furniture all across America, right? And then when you make something, right, if you guys will notice, if you've ever bought cheap furniture before or bought cheap anything, they don't ask for the item back. They just replace it, because it's cheaper to get it overseas than it is to deliver a new one, right? To go pick it up and repair it, or pick it up and bring you something new. They don't even want it, because it doesn't matter to them. It doesn't matter, because it's cheap. It's too expensive to deliver a new one. It's more expensive to have the United States Postal Service send something to you than it is to have it sent back. Like, it's really wild, guys. And that's one of the things we've lost here in America. We think that we're entitled to cheap prices, right? Like, you can't have it both ways, guys. You could have cheap prices, but all your jobs are going to be service-based and knowledge-based, and they will be outsourced. Everything you do will be replaced by AI or outsourcing to the cheaper companies, right, for the lowest common denominator of prices, right? And you just can't have it both ways. Now, if you're willing to say, you know what, I will pay a higher price, you can have more people in America doing this kind of work and doing these kind of videos, right, and talking about making things in America, having businesses in America. But if it's just a race to the bottom, like, who's going to want to do that? Is that really the kind of country we want to foster? Is that really what we want to do? I don't think that that's is that the kind of world you want to leave your kids? Is a world where they make nothing, cars are replaceable? Because that's kind of what we got going on right now. Nobody makes anything. You ever notice this? Anytime something happens, somebody else has to fix your problem. We don't fix our own problems anymore because of what we're just talking about. Like, why would I hem my jeans, or why would I put a patch on my jeans when I can just go buy another fucking pair for $10 off Temu? And it'll be here, in 2 or 3 days, or it'll be here in a month, whatever it might be. Like, why? Why would we even bother? And there's nothing to teach your kids except, well, here's the credit card. Here's how you put the information into your phone, and just, go buy it from Amazon, or go buy it from Temu, or go buy it from Shein, or go buy it from one of these, people on Etsy. Like, it's no good, guys. And I know it's almost like an old man ranting, so I'm not really old, I'm kind of middle-aged, I guess. I think I'm probably ready for my midlife crisis. It's got to be coming pretty soon. Sometimes I feel like it's coming. Okay, more comments coming. Ben Hacked, have the tariffs affected your business yet? Well, Ben Hacked, I think if you must not watch my streams very much. So this is a good thing, right? I like knowing we got new people coming in here. Hit the subscribe, guys. Hit the likes and all these kind of things. Help kick this thing around to other people. Truth is that I am, okay, I'll read the next question. I know you outsourced all your hardware. Oh, no, cool. Got you. Okay, so yeah, so what you're saying is has it affected my business, and I outsource my hardware? Okay, so yeah, so truth is that I have several different revenue streams, right? And one of my revenue streams, what Ben Hacked is talking about, is my hardware, right? So we design all of our own hardware, and we have it made in India, right? And you might say, well, how come you don't make it here in America, right? I'll tell you why it doesn't get made here in America. And I'll be the first to say that if somebody wants to solve my problem, I will absolutely make it here in America, okay? Here's the problem. If you want to buy, let's take the basic component, which is brass, right? If you want to buy brass here in America, you cannot buy it for what we get it for in India, right? And that's the problem. Even though it comes from the same place, right? The metal and the ore and all that comes from the same place. It's all made in the same foundries, right? But the price that the people in India pay is 10% of what we would pay here in America, right? So if you want to let me buy brass, right, for the price that it gets bought in India, I will happily make it here, because guess what? I do castings on, if you guys know my faux bamboo furniture, all the faux bamboo is cast, right? So I already do all that. Yes, it's going to be sand casting versus silicone casting, but the methodology is still the same. The techniques are all still the same. I would be happy to make my hardware here, right? And some of the hardware that's laser cut, I can have it laser cut here. I know tons of people with CNCs. I got a place right up the street called Princeton. That's all they do is laser cut. I could absolutely have it done here. The problem is getting the brass, right? Because this is America, and we can, the people that sell the raw brass, right, know that they can charge a shit ton of money for it because we're the richest country in the world. That's what they do, So the truth is, I'm not going to do it. It's just not going to happen. You get the price of brass out, I'll make it here, But I don't know how you solve that problem, I don't know enough about the metal industry in general, and I guess if I wanted to go down that rabbit hole, I could. But truth is, yeah, I don't, So that is one of my revenue streams. But the other revenue streams that I have is we paint vintage furniture, right? Which is we have here, which we buy from all over America, and we ship it all over America. We take customer pieces, right, which is usually going to be old vintage furniture, because the new shit, no one ever wants to have repainted because it's not worth it. The third is that we have production line furniture that we make here in St. Louis at my factory here, right? We actually make this, and this is reproducible furniture that we already have engineering for, and jigs and things like that. And the other thing is custom furniture, right? So these are all of our revenue streams, right? And I get what you're trying to say there a little bit. The idea that nothing can be made overseas is, it's not a zero-sum game, right? It's not an either or an or. You can absolutely make things overseas, right? There's nothing wrong with that, right? And I would be happy to pay people to cast hardware here, right? And I'm telling you, I can do it. I absolutely have it. It's the raw material that I don't have access to, So you can buy sheets from places like, Phoenix Metals, or Metals Online is a real popular one if you're like the online stuff. Like, we have places to get that kind of stuff here, but you can't get the raw material. You don't have access to it, and plus we don't have a way to get it hot enough to work with it here, right? So there's a lot of issues with getting that metal to where you can cast it yourself. It's very difficult, but I'd be happy to learn, but the truth is that some things do need to be made overseas. This idea that nothing can be made overseas and you're un-American if you have anything made overseas, that's not what we're saying. What we're saying is that we've sent America off, mostly because we sent everyone to college. We sent America off in this direction where everyone's going to do a service job. So nothing actually gets made here. We've deluded people into thinking if you have a product made overseas and then you have it shipped back to America that you're somehow a manufacturer, right? People say, well, Apple makes iPhones. Apple makes, iProducts, whatever it is. Apple doesn't make shit, okay? Apple doesn't make anything in America since 2001, okay? Now, a lot of people don't understand the difference, and Apple iPhones might be a bad example, but what I'm getting at is that this company, which is a large company, basically what they've taught Americans is that you can no longer make things at scale. And I've done tons of videos and talks about making things at scale. The truth is the hardest thing to do in the world is to scale up anything. Unless it's a digital product, it's very difficult to scale things in America or anywhere for that matter. But a lot of these other countries, they have so many people and their labor is so cheap, you have the bodies to do the work. You can afford it when you sell things in America at American prices, right? But if Apple wanted to scale up the manufacturing of products in America, they would have to pay American wages and they would have to deal with American regulations. So it is impossible. So we've deluded everyone to thinking, well, Apple's an American company. Like, no, they're not. Apple's not an American-based company. If you told Apple, you know what, Apple, you have to make your products in America, Apple would be out of business tomorrow. Apple would leave America and they would manufacture their products in other countries and sell them to the rest of the world. They would not sell to America. This is not an American company. Ford, I'll even use Ford as an example. No, I'm not using it. We use General Motors. General Motors, same thing. If you work in the automotive industry, I want to say something like 60% of the goods, the inputs that go into a vehicle today are made in Mexico or they're made in Canada, right? This is not an American-based company anymore. We have a real problem with what it means to have an American-made company or be an American company anymore. These companies, they're so multinational that they're not even American anymore. And that's, again, I think it's a big problem. And I get, as a small business owner, like dumb guy from never graduated high school, like people can completely disagree with me, but we got a major reckoning coming about what it means to make things in America, to be an American company, to be an American even. Like we have a long conversation about that. And truth is that people aren't ready to have that conversation yet. It's getting close, but they're not ready to have that conversation. And it's we're getting ready to go through a rough patch, guys. Like it's going to get very expensive and you are not going to be able to buy gobs of shit anymore. You're not going to be. You're going to have to spend good money on good things. And that's what's getting ready to change. Like people do not want this to happen. Oh my God. And like I wrote this down. Okay. This stuff was so crazy. So here's some numbers for you guys. And okay. We got more Admiral Kirk. Yeah. Admiral, you go for it, dude. All right. Ben Hack. So yeah, tariffs affect your business. Yeah, no, tariffs will not affect my business. Also, sorry, Ben Hack. I kind of went on a tirade there. It will not affect my business. Now, it may affect my customers. That's the thing, right? And that's the thing that I just was kind of ranting on. We got too many people making their money off having shit made overseas, bringing it back to America and selling it to Americans at American prices, okay? And this is a problem. It's a major problem. My dad's talked about this for 30 years at this point, and I still remember him talking about it in the 90s. He knew what was going to happen, and it's happened. It's a real problem. Now shit's going to get really expensive for a while until we learn how to make things again, until we learn how to work, because that's really what it's boiled down is people don't want to work anymore. They don't. No, and I'll say it. I don't give a fuck. Like, people don't want to work anymore. The idea, I got to work 40 hours. I got to work, or people say, I work multiple jobs. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, of course you work multiple jobs. Like, you don't have a choice. The thing that you do isn't valuable anymore. And the only way to create enough value for yourself is to sell something overseas, bring it back here to America, and sell it at American prices. And that's what we've done, because we do not value work anymore, So we're in some big changes, guys. Okay, so Ben Hacked, I hope that helps kind of answer your question. So tariffs will not affect me on my business. All my products are made in America, almost everything. Almost everything. Yes, my hardware is made in India. You got me 100%. It's probably $30,000 to $50,000 a year in revenue is what that's coming out. It started out as $5,000. So I have grown that over the years. It's been good for me. It's a good way to make money. And I'm speaking about this as someone who understands the whole import, the exporting. I've done it all. I've sent my furniture literally all over the world, right? Not as much as a lot of other people, I'm sure, but I've sent couple dozen pieces over the years to literally everywhere. Anywhere you could possibly think of, I've sent furniture, right? So, the whole crating, the importing, dealing with ports, all that kind of stuff. Like there's, if you want to send things overseas, you need to get with importers. It's going to really help you to learn how to get things moved into different countries. It's very difficult, to be quite honest with you. There's people that handle this stuff for you. It makes it a lot easier. So yeah, I'm not worried about tariffs one bit. Okay. All right, Ben Hack coming in for some more. Thanks, brother. Has your high-end furniture been selling less the last few months? Yeah, actually, that's a great question. And the short answer is yes. Okay, but I'll tell you why that is, and this is good. Actually, I really appreciate that question because I was just talking to my wife about this. So here's what I've noticed. I have noticed that, so generally this time of year, what happens when you're dealing with wealthy clients is wealthy clients and wealthy people love vacations. They love spending time with their kids. They love entertaining, all these kind of things. And truth is that when the holidays come around, they don't buy anything. It's the ramping up to the holiday that they do all their buying, right? So the big holiday right now, which people might not know this, they may, is spring break. So spring break, and spring break is kind of different. Basically, it's like the middle of March to the middle of April. It's kind of where you want to think about spring break because it falls differently wherever you are. So what happens is these people stop spending money because this isn't a holiday per se, but it's where they go take their kids on vacation. They go, spend time at home. The kids are home, so they're dealing with them. They're not thinking about furniture. They're not thinking about decorating. They're not thinking about anything. It's just more about like family-ish type stuff, if that makes sense. So sales usually drop way off. Then when all that stuff's done, you notice that the sales, like I said, maybe mid-April, could be as much into May, start to ramp back up, right? And they ramp back up pretty violently May through, I would say, mid-June, right? Mid-June, what happens in that time, right? People are starting to then get out of school. It's like, Jesus Christ, like these kids, like they coming and going. So anyway, kids are leaving school, right? So now we're dealing with graduations and we're dealing with spring or summer vacation, right? So summer will be dead. Summer is the worst time. You're making money in the beginning of the first two quarters, right? Because you know that the third quarter is going to be shit, right? So that's kind of how it works. But to answer your question more specifically, here's what I've seen. So overall sales down, right? The quality of the bids that I'm doing and the value or the price of the bids that I'm doing are way up. Okay, so I just submitted a bid for a table for $36,000, one table. And I've never submitted a price like that, but I have customers now asking for products that I have never built before, that I've never even considered making before, because they're looking for people to make really special pieces. They're looking for people to make big furniture. So while the volume is down, the price of the bids that I have going out is way up, like significantly up. Like normally, I'm in that like, I don't know, maybe $5,000 to $8,000 is kind of where I'm at. Like I've got more, what would it be, 5-figure bids going out for individual pieces of furniture that I've ever had. So this is what we have. This has been our problem for years now. It's this divide. As things get harder for normies, the people with more money get more money. And they want nicer shit, which is why I'm always telling you guys on these streams, you need to start a small business. Even if you do no sales, you do 0 sales. Maybe you only send out half a dozen bids for the rest of the year. You're working on your website. You're making your website better. You're working on your pictures. You're making more stuff. You're getting more stuff to put on your website. More people are getting exposure. Your advertising, even if it's $100 a month, your advertising is letting more people know that you exist. And this stuff takes time. But as this chasm continues to grow, which it's going to grow for a while, you're going to need a business, man. You're going to need to be able to sell things to rich people in order to offset the inflation. They offset the, if things get really hard, rich people are always buying. I've talked about this again in many of my streams. I've gone through many recessions, many downturns, many scares, right? And I've always been okay. I mean, there's some scary moments where you're kind of worried about your business, and I've had times where I literally thought I was out of business, but you get saved, right? I just did a talk about, some of the dumbest shit that I've ever done with money, and times when I was going to be out of business and someone came in and saved my ass, right? This kind of stuff happens, and it's very normal in a business. So yeah, it's that's kind of what I'm seeing, and I don't know, and I specifically said bids because I haven't got all the work, right? People are spending money; they want to spend money. I think that people are a little bit hesitant right now. There's a little bit because of the whole tariff thing, right? People that have money. A lot of my customers, believe it or not, have old money, which I don't know if you guys even know what old money is. Like, people think they know what old money is, but it's old money is crazy. A lot of people that I know are land developers, or they've sold companies during COVID. A lot of people got out of the market in COVID and just made a shit ton of money, and they're just spending, right? You got a lot of people that had companies that are 30, 40, 50 years old, 30, 40, 50 years old, and they are just living off the interest from those, the trusts, right? You have people that they're third, fourth, fifth generation rich people, and this is a thing. And sorry guys, I gotta walk out here. I guess I gotta deliver. I don't know why I have a delivery today. You guys are gonna get some mobile Eric here for a second. So we got, what the hell we got a delivery for on Saturday? Maybe it's Sherwin-Williams. Yeah, okay, hold on. Give me just 1 second. All right, here we go. Okay.
Here he is.
Sorry,
right,
I'm in the middle of a cast. What's this, from Sherwin?
Oh, yep. Sorry about that.
I appreciate Eric.
Okay, Eric.
Yeah, ERIC.
And then last name?
Wilken, Wilken.
Okay, Wilkins. And then just a little scribble from you. Sorry about that.
No, it's all good, man.
All right, have a good day.
Have a good day, you too. Okay, coming along here. Okay, paint. So yeah, Sherwin here. I'll give you guys Sherwin delivers on Saturday. We got colors coming in. What colors should we get today? So these are all these custom colors that I'm always talking to you guys about. This one, you got Hilton Head Cream, and this one is, kind of looks like the same one. This is Sea Spray. So you can see these colors, they kind of look the same, right? But designers and women are very sensitive to color. They'll have us spray these out, and they'll actually just look at them. And that's kind of what's going on there. So anyway, yeah, always something going on. But anyway, there's a lot of old money, and these people are always spending because their wealth isn't tied to their business, right? It's tied to a trust. And there's a ton of people out there that, like I said, have this kind of money. And again, it takes years to build up these client lists, but if you can, again, like I'm always telling you guys, like, start a freaking business, like whatever, even if you don't do any sales, right? You do no sales, you're still working at it, and it just takes time. It's the compounding of effort, right? Effort times time equals success. And the idea that you're gonna have some magnificent product and it's just gonna go to the moon, doesn't work that way. So anyway, okay, I'm up to 48 minutes. I'm doing pretty good here. Let me go through my notes real quick. I want to give you guys some numbers, all right? And it's one of the things that I think that people are overlooking right now. Again, take this de minimis thing, take the tariff thing, take all these things, right? So what this administration is trying to do is they are trying to make it more expensive to outsource your work, right? To buy things from overseas. And they're doing that because people here in America need stuff to do, right? And you can't just send everyone to college forever. We saw what happened. The college experiment is going down in flames right now, right? It's literally going down in flames. So what are people going to do? People, you got to give them something to do, right? So if you make it more expensive to bring stuff in overseas, you can give more people opportunity here to do stuff. And I think that's kind of what they're doing. So anyway, here's some numbers for you guys, okay? So the last 5 years, these numbers are fucking crazy, guys. They're absolutely crazy, okay? We spent $15 trillion. I shouldn't say we printed $15 trillion. Like when people talk about inflation, they talk about the cost of everything going up. Well, you can't print that kind of money. You can't make something out of nothing and not expect the price of everything to go up. It's the same thing with when you take your labor, right? You give people in your country access to the cheapest labor on earth, right? What do you think is going to happen to all your products in America? They're all going to get more expensive. And they tell you, well, they're going to get cheaper. You're going to have more access to stuff. It's like, yeah, in the short term, but the cost of everything else goes up. Your property taxes are going through the roof, not because, there's more houses being built and the houses are getting nicer, or they're God dang it, lost my train of thought there. The cost of all the things are going up because all of this money has flooded into America from cheap labor. Like, it's really what it's boiled down to, right? And everybody needs to get paid more money to help deal with the high cost of everything. So your property taxes go up, your all the wages for government employees, all your teachers, everyone, it just starts going up and up and up and up and up. And these people need money to pay for all this shit, so they tax you, right? That's what's really going on. They tax you, but they printed $15 trillion. Like, where did all that money go? Right? Everyone bitches about, oh, Amazon's too big. What's the other one they bitch about a lot? Walmart's too big. I hate Nike. I hate all these companies, right? The truth is that when they print that money, they gave it to you. And where did you spend it? You spent it buying cheap shit, right? You bought more cars that are replaceable. You bought cars that last 3 years, then you just go buy another one. Right? You spent it on jeans. You spent it on, whatever, television, video games. I can see so many people with freaking video games. Like, what the fuck is wrong with people? This is what you spent all this money on, right? So the only thing that can happen is everything gets more expensive, right? Because everybody wants all that shit. There's an infinite amount of money, apparently, so people can charge whatever they want. And since the other things, you're not paying rent anymore. All the moratoriums. There was what was the other thing I wrote down that happened here? We had like the student loan thing. Everyone's bitching about the student loan thing. You haven't paid student loans for 5 years, right? You had people that weren't having to pay their mortgages. You had all kinds of things going on. It's like, what are we doing? These people aren't saving that money. They're putting that money into the market to buy cheap shit, right? And then you cry about all these big companies. You gave them all that fucking money. You gave them all that money. Every dollar the federal government gave you, you gave to these big corporations. All of it. All of it. It's so frustrating, guys. Like we've done this to ourselves. I mean, every bit of it. We've all done it to ourselves, and we're fucking pissed off about it now. And it's insane, y'all. It's absolutely insane. That $15 trillion in 5 years. And nobody wants it to stop. Nobody is saying, you know what? Cut it off. Cut it off. No more money for the poor, no more money for Medicaid, no more money, like Social Security, no, none of it, all of it, done. We can't afford it. You want to see the cost of everything go down? You want to see the cost of everything go down? Like, cut off all the government money. Cut it off. I've seen stats where there's something like 50% of businesses rely on some kind of a federal handout. Like, this is bad, guys. Like, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. Sorry. All right, we got Sun Tzu in here. I don't think it matters what the people are buying compared to the money being printed. The Federal Reserve is debased. Yeah, no, it is the customers, dude. Like the Federal Reserve and the federal government, all these people, they are worth nothing unless the customer asks for it. Our government works very well. Our government works exactly as it's supposed to work. I know people say, well, the Federal Reserve isn't part of the federal government, technically speaking. But again, it's all of it's connected, guys. Every bit of it. If you didn't want money coming from your congressperson who you elect, if you didn't want it, they wouldn't ask for it. But the truth is that everybody wants a handout. The reason you give out Section 8 housing to people is not because you care about poor people, it's because you want their vote. That's what it boils down to. The reason you pit the rich man versus the poor man is because you need votes. You can buy the rich person, with tax breaks, and you can buy the poor person with handouts. It's horrible, guys. And you just, I'll say it, man. No one wants to hear this. You got to cut it all off. Sorry. No more corporate welfare. No more handouts to poor people. None of it. Retired people, you're on your own. Go stay with your fucking kids. You know, you beg better children, you know, take care of their people. My wife's from India. You think that we're not going to take care of her mom? You're fucking crazy. It's embedded in her culture. Like, our culture doesn't do this kind of stuff. Oh, how are old people supposed to live? I don't give a shit. It's not my problem. They paid into the system. Well, somebody fucked it up, okay? It doesn't mean that we all have to pay for it. You know, it's not my problem either. You know, I don't have to fix it just because somebody else fucked it up. You know, same thing with all the corporate handouts. You know, these companies that pay $0 in taxes, you know why they pay $0 in taxes? Because they spend all their fucking excess profits on buying more shit so they don't have to pay taxes. This causes their businesses to grow, to become more efficient. It doesn't matter if they buy that shit here in America or they buy it in China. It doesn't matter where they buy it. You know, you need to end all that shit. Get rid of all of it. The demand for goods in America will plummet, which is unfortunate what needs to happen. It needs to plummet for 2 to 3 years. I will probably lose my business, you know, but I'm fucking man enough to say that's what needs to happen. I may have to go work for somebody else doing something from somebody who's smarter than me, but I recognize the problem, you know, and you say what you will about this administration, they recognize the problem. You know, you can say, oh, they're all about the corporations. They're going to get everything. And I don't disagree with you, man. I don't. But at least someone's trying to do something different. Most people don't want anything. They just want things to stay exactly the same. The pain of the change is not yet great enough for them to get out of the present, you know, which is what really needs to happen. It needs to get so fucking bad for most people that they will actually accept a change. You know, and it's actually, God, we need to talk about that. Yeah, we're in trouble, guys. Like, we have to get back to making things in America. We have to get back to being okay, making 50 grand a year, running your business, working 50, 60 hours a week. Like, we're going to have to get back to that for a long time. You're just going to have to, because you can't save money on buying cheap t-shirts while the fucking government, local government, jacks up your property taxes so much that you can't afford to live there anymore. You know, or your power company jacks up the rates on power every year so you can't afford electricity. But you get cheap t-shirts. You know, so it's, yeah, we got a lot of work to do. I didn't mean to go there on any of this stuff, to be quite honest. I just wanted to talk about tariffs and Temu and de minimis a little bit. De minimis isn't going to hurt my business that much. Like I said, my magnet catches come from China, and I have adjustable feet. Those come from China. Bloom hinges and slides. It's an American company. A lot of their parts come from Austria, you know, so that stuff isn't really going to be affected. And they're not using de minimis anyway. That's not an issue for them. It's the people that are selling the cheap shit on Etsy that are fucked. It's the people selling, excuse me, the people that are selling all their cheap garbage on the website that they pop up on Shopify or what's the other one? I can't remember the name of them. But it's these people that are fucked, right? Because they don't make t-shirts. They're not even doing the screen printing themselves. I got a buddy here. He owns a massive screen printing business. Fucking massive. You know, he probably goes through 1 million t-shirts a year. Like, this guy has it down pat, you know, and he's not terrified of tariffs, but he imports, I mean, imagine how many t-shirts. If he imports 1 million t-shirts a year, you know, he told me that the t-shirt distributor that he uses, they're not even talking to them till June. That's what everyone's doing. Like, no one's worried about any of this shit right now. You know, everyone's just kind of waiting to see what's going to happen. You know, there's tons of product in America right now. And yes, we will run through that product. But if the demand comes down because the price goes up on all this shit, guess what? That problem gets solved, right? The idea that, I mean, that goes with everything. It's all about supply and demand. You know, the reason houses are so fucking expensive right now is because everybody and their brother decided they wanted a house during COVID. And prior to that, in 2008, if you guys ever notice, you ever look at houses, Berkshire Hathaway is one of the largest home resellers in America right now. How did that happen, right? Truth is that Warren Buffett saw what happened during the Great Financial Crisis. House prices cratered. They went and bought shit tons of them, along with a lot of other companies, and came up with a way to get rent prices way up using algorithms. There's a you can Google it right now, the collusion between big business and algorithmic rent pricing. Like, you'll see that a lot of these companies colluded together to get the prices up on things. When it comes to rent, it's a messed up world, guys. Like, there's a lot of crazy things going on in the world right now. And if we can get the demand down, a lot of these problems go away. The reason you have to pay so much money on property taxes and insurance right now is because they keep jacking up the cost of your house, right? They keep jacking up. And the truth is that when it goes down, you're going to have to fight like hell to get them to reduce your property taxes. I guarantee it. You have to fight like hell to get your insurance company to lower the price of your insurance. They will not want to do it because they don't sell a physical product, right? And that's the thing. When you sell a physical product, you're hypersensitive to the price of everything. You're hypersensitive, but when you're one of these, faceless companies, they can do whatever they want, and it's very difficult to make changes with them, So sorry guys, I went off on a total freaking left field. Like it makes me so bad as a small business owner. Like I can't even tell you guys, it shouldn't be this hard to keep a business going, right? To produce products in America, to just hire people, find good help. It shouldn't be this fucking hard, but it is, and especially when you've taken all the people that used to work with their hands, right? It used to be when you went onto a job site, if you were a fuck up, the job site would correct your actions. The job site would either would chew you up and spit you out, or it would make you a productive member of society. We don't do that now. In case you haven't noticed, none of that happens anymore. There are no self-selecting groups anymore. It doesn't happen. Like all of those days are gone apparently. I don't know why we don't do that. So we end up with a bunch of people today who think that, they're special, right? And they're supposed to have a particular way that the workforce is supposed to be, and the office is supposed to be, and the job site is supposed to be a specific way. You can't say things, you can't do certain things, and it's really deteriorated our country into some little bitch-ass soy boy kind of, HR approved, homogenous soup of horrible. Like, God, you put that on a t-shirt, soup of horrible, and yeah, it's just, it's a bad deal, y'all. Okay, sorry. Okay, I'm gonna go through my comments here, and oh boy, I just hit something. Okay, so sorry, Sun Tzu, I thought you had a good comment, dude. I think you're spot on. All right, on the scene reports, I've seen you before. You have a whole factory, yes. And that's the thing, like, sorry guys, I don't know what the hell I just did here. I just hit some kind of screen thing. Yeah, technically I've got 20,000 square feet, right? I use 12 of it. Man, I use 12 of it. And yeah, I got my own departments. We got, things come in at basically you got to think of, my factory is a large horseshoe, right? Big U shape, right? So they come in on one end, right? That's where all the furniture comes in. And then right there is our sanding department. Everything is taken apart. It's cataloged. It's part marked. It's done, whatever has to be done, done to it. And from there, it starts the sanding process, right? Then from the sanding department, you run through the wood shop, where it's more like the assembly department, right? It's probably 3,000 square feet. And it's just where we assemble furniture, right? That comes from the wood shop, which is a whole different department, right? So you got the assembly shop, we'll call it, right? You go through there, and then you enter into the paint shop, which is right over here. Big paint shop, right? We got one massive booth, and we paint, I don't know, we probably run through 10 pieces a day, and which each piece can have anywhere from, 5 to as much as 35 parts, depending on how many drawer boxes, doors, fretwork, whatever. Right into there, right? And then off of the paint department, the room I'm in right now, which is the actual wood shop, which is where all the machines are, where we cut out all the parts, all the hardwood, we make all the dust, make all the noise. It's all done right here. I do most of my videos in here. And because I can open up, there's a big side door here where I can open up and get good light. The weather's shit today, so don't worry about it. But anyway, so then you head down past the paint department. We have a whole final assembly department, right? That's probably another 3,000 to 5,000 square feet in there. And that's all literally just furniture. It's finished furniture that has to be put back together because you can't paint furniture in one, as it's put together unless you're some, goofball. You have to tear it all apart. So yeah, so that's a whole nother department. That's the same department where we do all of our shipping. We ship everything up. So there's this massive garage door in there. Your truck can just back up and you can kind of load everything in. So yeah, we got full department here. It's a full factory. And is it some massive, 100,000 square foot factory like we've been conditioned to think factories are? No. It used to be that every factory in America was like mine. It was a small factory, but then it grew and it became this perverted thing, where now this is like you got people today talking, oh, you don't want American jobs back here. No one wants to work in a factory. Nobody wants to do this work, right? 80% of Americans want manufacturing and factories to be brought back to America. But then when you say, well, would you like to work in one of these factories? 80% says, fuck no. That's what's fucked up with America right now. My factory is awesome. I think it's great. I love it. You know, it's fantastic. Is it the most amazing place in the world? Probably not. Have I worked in better factories? Yeah, I've worked in the most state-of-the-art factories you could ever possibly want to be in. You know, Nordam, Tulsa, Oklahoma, worked there for 4 or 5 years. You know, massive. They made jet parts, tons of commercial jet parts. Humongous, 24-foot ceilings, skylights. I mean, freaking awesome. You know, I've worked in factories that are cobbled together, 20,000 here, 50,000 here. They had to build a roof over it, you know, to make it work. You know, I've worked in Gulfstream Aerospace, the nicest private jet manufacturer in the world. You know, I've worked in their facilities in Savannah, Georgia. Beautiful, amazing places to work. White floors, everything's clean, perfectly air conditioned, perfectly heated, you know, and oh God, guys. Okay. Okay. But yes, so on screen reports, yes, I have a full factory. I have employees. I'm not some, you know, jack off talking about how amazing everything is and I've got it made and I'm rich and I'm bought. Like none of that. It's not like that. It's just, it's a factory. It's middle class living. Got 7 employees. They're all pretty happy. They work for me like, I think the least years is like 4 or 5 years at this point that someone's worked for me. So people like this work. Okay, Sun Tzu in here. There's things fundamentally broken about our country. Yeah, and Sun Tzu, where are you from, man? Like I don't, let me know where you're from. I'm kind of curious if you're, I mean, it sounds like you're stateside. Let me know what state you're in. Because yeah, every state is different, to be quite honest with you, but our country is broken, you know, and it maybe broken's not a right word. It's been brainwashed, might be a better way to put it. Our country is brainwashed. And I'm gonna go on my soapbox here for a minute. My wife is not from here. Her family is not from here. But guess where most of them live now? Here, right? They're all from India. And the dream for most people in the country of India, most people in another country, is to get to America, okay? That's most people's dream in India, okay? I want you guys to think about that for a second, right? So when everyone tells you how terrible our country is, keep that in mind. Okay, there's no American that dreams, oh God, I wish I could get to India, or oh God, I just want to go live in, hell, even France. You know, you ever been to those places? Anyway, most Americans don't dream of going someplace else. Most people dream of coming to America. Most people in other countries dream of coming to America. You know, and it's just the reality of it. And anyone that's worldly will tell you this. When people say, oh, America's racist, we're such a racist country, blah, 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 blah. Like, we're the only fucking country that lets everybody come in here, right? You want to see racist? Go to another country. Go to India. Go to China. Go to Japan. Everyone talks about Japan. Go there. You know, these are people that want nothing to do with other cultures. You know, and yeah, they're probably moving a little bit more in a Western way, but the truth is that they're not. This is the least racist country in the world because we let everybody come in here and we treat everybody the same. You know, and we got people that are trying to tell us that that's not how it is. And they're all full of shit. You know, and again, I'm telling you, someone who's married to an immigrant, whose family is all immigrants, right? So I know the real story. You know, so people are full of shit and we've brainwashed everyone into thinking that this place is something that it's not. You know, does it have problems? Yeah. You know, but the biggest problem is that we've forgotten what fucking work looks like. You know, we told everyone go to college, you know, and then all the college people were like, well, hey, man, this isn't fair. This isn't, I thought I was going to be making $100,000 a year sitting in an office sending emails. Come to find out, it doesn't really work that way. You know, it's not real life, you know. That pendulum swing way too far over here. Now it needs to come back. You know, people are going to hate it. They're absolutely going to hate it, okay? So, all right, Sun Tzu, more of this. Okay, so for example, in my state, a Canadian billionaire is buying the single-family homes, BlackRock. Yeah, and I just talked about this. BlackRock is doing the same thing. I think it's bizarre that Canadians can buy homes in the U.S. for investments. See here, I'm from Midwest, one state over from you. Okay, good. Yeah, cool. So we're in the same neck of the woods, man. That's good. Yeah, and that's the thing, guys. Like, it's honestly, I don't think there's anything wrong with people buying up American anything. I don't think that commerce is a bad thing. But what I do think is wrong is you call somebody your enemy, but they're also the largest trading partner that you have. Like, you can't have it both ways, right? You can't do that. And again, our culture is so addicted to cheap prices. We will do anything to not have to pay full price for something. We'll do fucking anything. You know, and I can't wrap my head around why this is. I don't know what's wrong with people. But that's not, I'm not trying to be mean about it. I don't understand where, again, how do you rationalize that? Like, is China an enemy or are they our friend, right? Because you would do tons of business with your enemy, would you? You know, so I don't know how much of an enemy these people really are. And everyone likes to talk about, China did this, China did this. First off, China didn't do this, okay? And I know this as an importer, right? I deal with this shit. We did this to ourselves, you know, and the problem is that companies like Restoration Hardware sold out your fucking country so they could make $100 million showrooms in France, right? This is what happened, okay? The companies like Williams-Sonoma buy all their shit in Vietnam, but sell it for an insane amount of money to rich people here in America, and that they can show their friends and talk about how nice it is, right? Whereas when rich people buy my furniture, they know that Eric built it, Nazar built it, Noé painted it, Sucheta sold it, you know, Manuel probably sanded it or put it together, Almir delivered it, right? So you got people, you got a person from India, you got a person from Mexico, you got a person from Croatia, you got a white poor dude from America, okay? These are the people that make your fucking furniture, and it's done here in America. That's the difference, okay? That's the difference. That's what we got to get back to in this country, right? This idea that you can have a $500 credenza because it's made in China, you don't care who made it, you don't care where you bought it from. Like, this is bullshit, guys. It's complete horseshit, and we need to get away from this stuff. It's a major problem. Okay, all right, what's it over, blah, blah, blah. All right, so I'm going to get back to you. Okay, and yeah, what Suds is saying about BlackRock, and it's not just BlackRock, it's many companies, and it all started in 2008. My first wife was in the real estate business, and she would talk to me about this all the time. And basically what would happen is she worked for the title company, and what would happen is that the bank that needed to give out a loan would partner with a appraiser. They would partner with the appraiser. The appraiser would ask, what does the home need to value for to get the loan? And this is how it worked, right? And this went on for years, right? It was this incestuous relationship between the appraiser and the bank. So the appraiser would say whatever they needed to get the bank's business, because the bank was in the business to sell houses. The appraiser was in the business of appraising houses, except it was in the business of appraising houses for what the bank needed them to go for. And since the government backed everything, they could sell it for whatever the fuck they wanted. And then you had a company like Moody's, right, which still gets talked about today. Why those guys aren't in prison, I don't know. But they basically said that all those assets or those equities, right, these are called God, now I'm going way off on a tangent. But basically, all of these loans were valued as AAA, right, which then could be packaged with other investments that were really shitty, like subprime loans. And it was this massive incestuous relationship that collapsed the entire economy, right? And then companies like BlackRock, Berkshire Hathaway, is there Blackstone in there? And there's a ton of other smaller ones, came in and bought up all those properties and then sold them, or I should say they sold them. They hung on to them, right? And then they rented them out and sold them out to other people at inflated prices when the prices came up, right? So it's not an accident that the cost of housing and property taxes have been inflated like crazy. It was designed to do that. You know, and this is, I know this is way off furniture, guys. This is what I like about streams, is that you can have all these kind of crazy conversations, and it just leads to all kinds of fun stuff. And trust me, I'm here on Saturday. I really don't want to build drawer boxes, so as long as I can keep the stream going, it'll keep me from making drawer boxes. Okay. Suds, I'm from the Midwest, one state over from you. Yep, it's good. Midwest is great, man. This area, people need to understand how beautiful the state of Missouri is. And while I live on the Missouri-Illinois border, it's beautiful country over here. This idea that, like, I grew up on the West Coast in Oregon, and we used to think of, we call the Midwest flyover country. We'd call them shithole states. We had all kinds of names for these states. And truth is, they're all beautiful. I mean, Tennessee, gorgeous. Kentucky, beautiful. Like, get over the land between the lakes, like, absolutely amazing. Like, Indiana, gorgeous. Chicago's a beautiful state, or Chicago, Illinois, yeah. Illinois literally is just Chicago if you live here. Like, fucking that stupid city rules everything. It rules the entire state. Fun fact, Illinois is a majorly red state. Everywhere is red except Cook County. It's wild. And I forget the capital, Springfield. Anyway, so that's a side tangent. Okay. All right, we got more people coming in here. We got James Moreland. I dream in America. I don't know what that means, James Moreland. Elaborate, please. Sun Tzu, more stuff. The Federal Reserve is probably 1,000 times worse. For America, the most realized my job in tech got deleted because of stimmies. Yeah, I believe it. I think it was negative 4% value of the dollar in 18. Oh, God dang. That's, yeah, gold. Oh, gold. God, gold has gone through the roof. Have you noticed that? Like, there's almost like an inverse relationship with what the Fed does and the price of gold. You know, it's like the more money those people spend, the more bonds they buy back, all this kind of stuff just causes the cost of gold to shoot through the roof. And same thing with like this cryptocurrency thing. Like, I don't own any crypto. I don't really know much about it, but it seems like the more these guys do what they do, the higher, I mean, everyone wants something other than the dollar, you know, because they just see what's getting ready to happen to it. It's just being destroyed. Gold price, 1880s, $20, 1990. Yeah, 20, yes, 3,000. I know, it's insane. I'd much rather pay things that have an office job. I would much, yeah, and hold on, I'm gonna finish. Honestly, I've been considering hopping to stay over and trying to work with you, but it's a huge step, especially basic. Yes, and that's what I'm talking about, you know, Sun Tzu. It's not that office jobs are bad. It's not that tech jobs are bad. It's not that any of those jobs are bad. There's a lot of people that's what they would rather do, and they're geared for it, and it's great. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. But the problem is that there was something called societal engineering or social engineering, and we basically tried to move away from hard work to maybe that's a bad way to put it, but I don't consider office work to be hard work. And it's call me whatever, an idiot, troglodyte, whatever. Point is that we didn't want people doing those kind of jobs anymore. We wanted office jobs. We wanted service jobs. We wanted these kind of jobs, design, marketing, all these kind of things, psychology, HR, any of the stuff that we could send overseas meant that we could give more people service jobs, right? Because you have to service manufacturing, right? That's really what it boils down to. You have to have, you know, you got to have manufacturing engineers, you got material engineers, and everyone's a fucking engineer all of a sudden. It used to be we just made shit, you know? But anyway, yeah, there's a lot of people that would like to do that work, but there's not a lot of opportunity in America. It's too hard, right? And then, like you're saying, when the idea of moving, we used to be a hypermobile country. That was one of the great things about America. Move to another country and realize how difficult it is to go from country to country to country. They all speak different languages. They got different monies. The cultures are completely different. In America, you could literally move from one end of it to the other end. And you could do it, and the money's the same, the language is the same. The cultures, you know, there's differences, but for the most part, it's all American culture. That's one of the great things we have. But when you took like I bought my first home in, I want to say it was like 2001, 2002. I think it was 2002. I bought it for $99,000. I think my mortgage payment was like $600. It was dirt cheap. I bought a home in 2008. Yeah, it would have been 2008, like right after the Great Financial Crisis, right as it was kind of in the midst of it. I bought a home, right? It was $145,000. I think my mortgage was like $1,000 a month, maybe. You know, it wasn't that much, you know. And when you're talking like $1,000 a month, for again, no education, just works hard, just makes shit. You could do that in Oregon, or you could do that in Maine. Right? You could live somewhere relatively cheap so you could chase opportunities. That's what I did my entire life. But if I had to pay $2,500 a month in rent, and then I got to pay $3,500 for a home, that makes it very difficult for normal people to do anything. You're almost in a situation where you're trapped, you know? And here's another example for you guys, okay? My last home I bought. The last home, the nicest home I ever owned. It overlooks the Mississippi River. It's on a touristy highway goes out to Grafton here in Illinois. It's all the cars race down it. It's like being in it's like paradise in a way for me. And they call it the Key West of the Midwest. Beautiful. I bought this home. It was on the market for like 2 or 3 years. They listed it for, I think it was close to $1 million. I bought it for $550,000 right at the height of the pandemic. Interest rates were like 3%, dirt cheap. My house payment was like $3,000 a month. Nobody bought that house because it was all brown inside. It was full of old school woodwork. They spent more money on wood. I mean, they put columns up everywhere. My wife walked in there and she's like, this is fucking disgusting. I looked in there and was like, it's like, this is amazing. Views of the ocean, views of the river in every room. I mean, the custom home. It was probably a $2 million home when they built it. Beautiful house. It's literally on a bluff. You got a big like cliff face that just goes down to nothing. It's gorgeous, guys. Nobody wanted it because nobody wanted to put in the work to fix the interior. And that's it. That's all it boiled down to. We redid all the work. And that's what I tell you guys in these streams. When you own your own business, when you make shit, you can fix shit. Anything is possible. Nobody was going to pay whatever they were asking for that home, $700,000, and then put another 150, 200,000 into it to get all the brown out of it, to get all the trim out, to put in, to knock out walls, put in new walls, take out doors, put in new doors. All the work that I've done to that house, nobody was willing to do it that had that kind of money to blow on that particular kind of house. They just weren't going to do it. So it's really messed up, guys. Sun Tzu, I feel really bad for you for what you're saying. I think that people have been hosed because we just printed a shit ton of money. The Fed kept rates artificially low for way too long, and fucked over a lot of people. It's a bad deal. I don't know what we do about it. Unfortunately, I know what's going to be done. What's going to be happening is the cost of everything is going to go through the roof until demand comes down. And as long as the federal government and the Fed make it easier for people to buy shit by injecting either printed money or stolen money, whatever you want to call it, until they stop doing that and crush demand, the price for anything is not going to come down. It's just not. And which means that as a business owner, I have to continuously raise my wages. If I want my employees to stick around and come work for me, I have to outcompete all the other people that are making furniture, that are painting furniture, because they're paying good wages. They're paying good benefits. If I don't outcompete those people for wages and benefits, I'm going to lose my employees, that I have no fucking business. Right? And this is what should happen in a healthy economy, but it should not be happening because the work is being outsourced to other countries. That's not how it's supposed to work. We're all supposed to be competing with each other because we make a lot of stuff here in America. And that's not what's happening. And I can talk about when people say, oh, we make tons of stuff. We make lots of things in America. We have this export, we have that export. I've heard all this stuff. Some of it is true, most of it is bullshit. Truth is that most of what we make here is automated, right? It's automated. It's technology that we're not willing to send out to the third world because the third world will steal it, right? You'll say, well, Eric, how do you know that? Because I'm in the fucking hardware game. You know how many times people that I deal with have said, hey, I make hardware for company A, B, and C. Would you like some of their stuff? Here's how they made their stuff. Would you like the same thing? All they want to do is sell me other people's shit because it's easier to take my design and give it to them. And then they got to create new castings. They got to do, new DXF files for all the laser cutting, all the stuff that has to be done. It's easier for them just to sell other people's shit to me. This is really messed up, guys. It's a twisted system. Okay. Yes. And Sun Tzu, if you ever make it over here to St. Louis, I tell everyone in my streams, come say hi. It's the building with the pink door. Big, massive brick U-shaped building. And again, look up the Resplendent Crow. Come in and say hi. I'd be happy to show you around. Okay, let's see. Yes, how's your, yeah, it's deliberate. If you want a lesson in Bitcoin, it's actually what no, I don't want any help with Bitcoin. I don't want to know anything. It's like paint. I always tell people, yes, I own a paint company. We paint lots of furniture, but I actually know very little about paint itself. And I don't want to know. I have to deal with making furniture, freaking CNC bullshit, sales, marketing, employee drama, insurance, taxes, being sued, whatever. Like it just, I don't want to know. I don't want to know anymore. I know at this point in my life, I know all I need to know. Let's see. It's best trade used of hot garbage monopoly money. It's wild. We let the Fed debase our money for 120. Yeah, I get it, man. If you don't mind me asking, what's the rent and upkeep on your factory like? Okay, well here I'll give you the actual information. So in order to answer that question, I got to tell you a little bit of a backstory. Okay, so truth is that when we started in this building was not habitable. Okay. It was covered with bird shit, rat shit, dog shit, and tons of the owner's shit. Okay, so it was basically full of shit. So the first thing you had to do was you had to clean out a bunch of it, right? Clean it up, clean it out. And once that was done, we were paying $1,000 a month 8 years ago I take it back 6 years ago for 2,000 square feet. And that's not terrible. Not for commercial space with, 3-phase and all that, so that's fine. Then fast forward another year, and then we needed more space because we started making things, right? We had to add wood shop. So then we had to take, I want to say it was 5,000 square feet. So then our rent went up to, I want to say it was 3,000 at the month. It might have been, 5,000. 5,000? Maybe it was 3. It was like 3 or 5,000, right? So then COVID happens. Once that happens, we need everything because we're growing at an exponential rate because of the demand, right? So then we needed 20,000 square feet, which is max. We took everything. That was 6,000. So it was 6,000 in rent for 20,000 square feet, right? Then COVID waned and, sales slid down, which is what happens in business, guys. I know a lot of people, all they do is talk about how sales only go up and just buy my marketing plan and your sales are going to go through the roof. And it's all bullshit. Sales do this. There's nothing you can do about it. It doesn't matter how good your marketing is. Doesn't matter how good your product is. No matter how big your dick is. It doesn't matter. That's what sales do. And there's big markets, right? Like you'll have massive fluctuations where the entire industry is moving up, and then the entire industry is moving down. Okay, this is business. So after that happened, we had to renegotiate rent, right? Because we couldn't pay $6,000 per rent. Like it was too much money for the amount of sales we had coming in, and it just didn't seem right. So we clipped off 8,000 and we went down to 12,000 square feet. And I think now we're paying 4,000 a month. So that's kind of how the rent situation works over 6 years, 7 years. Okay. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. And that's the real numbers, guys. And you'll see a lot of, and we're in a hyper industrial area. This isn't an area where there's coffee shops and fucking shopping malls. Like it's not like this. It's an industrial area. Massive architectural windows companies right across the street. Right across the street from us. So that's kind of the kind of area that we're in. And what I was saying earlier in the stream, one of the reasons you can't go get a nice spot in like downtown somewhere or somewhere that's fairly trendy is because all these companies that sell all of their, that get all of their shit from overseas have excess capital to pay that exorbitant rent. That's why you can't get any of that, right? So instead of paying American wages, American benefits, and dealing with American regulations here in America, they don't have to do any of that. So that 10 cents on the dollar, they get to keep 90 of those cents to put on retail location to help with their business, okay? Now, if we cut that off or we made it much more difficult, there will be less people able to fund all of that retail rent every month, right? And it's gotten out of control. If you cut that off, you, the small business owner in America, may be able to buy that or get a little bit closer to the nicer areas instead of all these companies taking all that fucking real estate for themselves and then outsourcing your jobs overseas, selling that shit back into America as luxury or high-end or really good quality or worldly craftsmanship. I just love that one so much. I think I read that on Williams-Sonoma. So anyway, that's my rant on that one. All right, we got Michael Garza in here. Hey, Michael. Sorry, man. We started off talking about de minimis and the cost of cheap shit getting more expensive as it comes in and basically how these people can, they can avoid customs and get their stuff right into America right away. And that's getting ready to go bye-bye. May 2nd, it's done. The new administration clipped it off, and it's going to be a good thing if you do make things here in America, right? If you're wanting, say you make cutting boards, I've seen people do that. They got, big operations here in America running multiple CNCs, making cutting boards, cutting out, decorative letters and making home decor shit. Like those guys are going to have more business. They're going to have more eyeballs on their businesses, and it's going to be good for everyone here. That's kind of how I see it. I could be wrong, but anyway, that's what I'm, okay. So yeah, Sunzo, I answered your question. Michael Garza, you're in here. Yeah, this might be about the end of the stream, guys. I think I've covered everything. I went over a whole bunch of stuff. A bunch of stuff I didn't expect to go on. I planned on doing an hour. We're, an hour and a half at this point. I'll go through my notes real quick and see if I wrote down any other things that I thought would be good. I talked about, too many companies are saying we make great products. Our products, they're amazing. We do this, we do that. And you go and you look and say, well, where's your factory? And they go, oh, it's over in China. So, oh yeah, you don't make anything. That's really what most corporations in America do today. They don't make jack shit. Even I'll go as far as to say a company like Nike. Nike did make shoes here in America. Point is they don't do it now. And most shoe companies don't. And then they come in and say, well, we don't have the technology. We can't do that. It's not possible here. You're like, yeah, motherfucker, because y'all have been doing it for 30, 40 years at this point. All you guys did, it sent all that work. Of course, no one's going to make shoes here in America. There's no cobblers left in America because there's no business in America. There's no market here. You know why Taiwan makes all the chips? You think all the best chip makers were over there? You think that suddenly, they just started grooming chip makers? Dad passed down his chip making, knowledge to his son, and his son did it to his son, and it's years and years of chip makers? No. It's because their government made an active decision to foster that industry. And it's true, that is true for any industry, for any product, and for anything. And as the richest country in the world, there is no reason that we cannot make anything here in America if we want to. But point is that we don't want to spend on it. We'll pay shit tons of money for houses, we'll pay tons of money for handbags, we'll pay tons of money for phones, and we'll buy all that shit over and over again all the time. We'll pay tons of money for video games, we'll pay tons of money for the weirdest shit. But we don't care where it's made. We don't care if people have jobs, good jobs. We don't care about the regulations. We don't give a shit about any of that. We'll preach about, how, I'm for, gay rights. I'm for, female equality, empowerment, high wages. I'm for this, I'm for that. And then you look at what they're wearing, and none of those regulations exist in any of the places where all their shit is. So it's kind of fucked up, guys. It's a lot of hypocrisy going on, and it's getting ready to change. And this de minimis thing is one example. So strap in, get ready, because it's coming. All your shit's going to get more expensive. Start making something, right? You want to beat the high cost of living? Learn to make something. I don't have to hire anyone to work on my house. I don't have to hire anyone to make anything for my house. I don't have to hire anyone to work on my cars. I don't have to hire because I can fucking do it all because I've done it for 30 years at this point. You want to make it in this coming America? Learn to do something. Learn to make something. Learn to repair something. Start a business like I talk about all the time. Get a website. Get a logo. Start making things, put a little bit of marketing, make a good product, treat your customers well, show people what it is that you do, show people how you make things. Do all these things, and it may take you, you could have it happen in 3 months, it may take you 3 years, but eventually you will have a business. You will have something that you can fall back on, that you can teach your kids. You have something that you're proud of, right? When someone says, oh, what do? You don't have to say, oh, no, I wouldn't do that. Or, oh, no, I want something better for my kids. You'll actually have some pride. You'll really think differently when you say something like that. Oh, I want better for my kids. Fuck me. Okay. Sunzo. Okay. Hey, what is your name? My name's Eric. Wilkin. I own the Resplendent Crow here in St. Louis, Missouri. Hop on. Just Google the Resplendent Crow. We have a massive online presence. We're a large company by online standards. We have fantastic marketing. We have great products. And I tell anybody, just come on in. I've shown many people my facility. I show them what I do. Just give me a heads up. Message me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, whatever. Like I said, I'm happy to talk to people. It's what we got to do, guys. That's what I did the stream for. That's what I do this YouTube thing for, is to show people what business is really like. Because I'm tired of these people on YouTube that they get all the views on woodworking, and they're funny, but when you go look at what they sell, they're selling fucking cups and t-shirts and knives and and they're selling advertising for better health, like mental health shit, or Raycon earbuds or what. I mean, I'm just trying to think like VPNs. Like some of the stuff that I see, I'm just like, you people are, sorry guys, I go on these rants. I'm just so frustrated. You look at the advertisements, all these people selling woodworking courses on how to start a woodworking business. Like again, you go look at what they do. Most of them don't even own woodworking businesses anymore. That's not even their core business. And it's all a joke. It's all a scam to get your money, right? They want to get you on a subscription. They want to get you on some way to continuously suck small amounts of money out on you. Whereas if you go to my website, you just go to theresplendentcrow.com. There's no courses. There's no boner pills. There's no advertisements. There's none of that. It's just furniture. That's all it is. And everything I've said in my streams about delivery, about how we make it, about our factory, about what we pay people, what I make, it's all there. It's all there. And you'll see how I do it, but it's not easy. It's fucking hard, guys. Like I'm here on Saturday and I'm doing the stream because really I don't want to go make drawer boxes. I told you guys at the beginning of the stream, I fucked up all these drawer boxes. Someone's got to pay for that. As a W-2 employee, your employer pays for it. I don't have anyone that I can charge this to. I got to pay for it. I can't charge my customer and say, I fucked up your drawer boxes. I need another $120 for some more cherry wood. It doesn't work that way. You're always responsible, So anyway, I probably need to get on the stream or end the stream. I got long enough. I do need to get to work. I appreciate everyone hanging out. I know it was a long stream. We kind of went all over the place. And that's one of the things I really like about these streams. I enjoy the kind of banter back and forth and the kind of riffing on things. And anyway, you guys can do this. Like I said, it's business is hard, but again, no education, moved all over America, been married 3 times, might make $100,000 a year if I'm lucky. I make a base salary of $50,000 a year. At the end of the year, if I do good, I get to pay less taxes than you because I'm an S corp. Which again, that's the stuff I want to talk about on the back end, but I'm not giving that away for free. But yeah, pay less taxes. I'm going to pay a smaller rate because I take what's called a disbursement at the end of the year. So that's something that W-2 employees can't do. I'll tell you what else I can tell you guys real quick. It's probably good for today. Last thing. All right, Sun Tzu. Yeah, love your colors. Yeah, no, that's what we do. I mean, we're a small business here in St. Louis, Missouri, and we've been in business for, I think, 8 years at this point. Video request to show what you mean by using steel to prevent droop. Okay, yeah, that's that's what I do when you buy vintage furniture. If you ever pay close attention to that furniture, stand on the side of it and then look down the long end of your dresser or your credenza or whatever it might be. What you'll notice is that unless there's a leg in the center, that furniture, it smiles, right? Right? There's a smile, right? Smile is where it goes down. Frown is where it, has a hump at the center. Anyway, that's what generally happens because gravity just takes its hold. And eventually, wood, it's constantly drawing in moisture. Wood breathes, and it breathes, forever basically. But it takes in that moisture, kicks that moisture out, and over the years, gravity just kind of causes it to go down, 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 and down, down, until eventually there's a sag in there. And that's called deflection, right? If you ever, you're an engineer, you're a super smart guy, you know that, the point from A to B, what's in the center is deflection over what's called the span. And anyway, use steel. Steel doesn't do that, especially if you use the right kind of steel, which isn't complicated, but you just have to make sure that the deflection over the span is going to be less than wood, and then that doesn't work. And steel is insanely strong. And interesting thing about St. Louis is the place where Carnegie actually showcased how strong his steel was. It's kind of an old story. You can Google it. But when he built the St. Louis Bridge here, back turn of the century, nobody believed that you could build this bridge, right? And he did it, and it was with this new thing called steel, and everyone was like, this can't be true. Anyway, it got built. Well, no one would use it, right? So they're like, well, how the hell are we going to get people to use this thing? There's the old wise tale that an elephant would never walk on a surface that was not safe, right? Or surface not safe. So they got an elephant to walk across this new bridge using this new invention called steel, and the rest is history. So it's a very famous story, and so that's why I use steel. Steel is it's much stronger than wood. So okay, I think that takes care of it. Okay, it would help to see how the steel goes in there. I don't think I ever see it. Yeah, no, that's cool. Come visit sometime, and I'll I can certainly show you and remind me, and I'll think about showing a video. One of the things you have to be kind of careful of in the furniture industry is there's a lot of people that rip off other people's shit. It's very common, and I've had cease and desist letters sent to me because I've ripped off other people's stuff, and I've issued them, right? Then you start getting into things like trademarks and copyrights. We have to trademark and copyright any of our proprietary stuff because tons of people are just looking to rip everyone off. That's all they want to do. You know how many of my fucking pieces of furniture have been sent over to Egypt, recreated, and then sent back here to America, right? So I have to compete with people that are having furniture that I built. I'm the only one that makes it, sent over to a foreign country, and then they're selling it back into America. You know, so you have to be very careful what you show people and how things are done. But if you ever come in here, I will show you exactly how it's done, but I'm not going to do a video on it. I'm trying not to give out any more, I'm not trying to give out any more help to people when it comes to doing that kind of stuff. Because until I get certain things trademarked, I have to be very careful when I show people, you know. So unfortunately, it's just the reality of the furniture business. It's very hard to protect your designs and your work in America with furniture. It's very hard. So anyway, I'm gonna go, guys. 100 minutes. 100 minutes. Did it. Triple digits. I appreciate everyone taking the time and hanging out for a bit. And it's Saturday, so everyone have a great weekend and enjoy whatever the hell it is you're doing. I'm gonna be building these drawer boxes that I messed up yesterday, and I think we got decent weather here, so it should be good. I'll open the door and take out. Yeah, Sun Tzu, man. Good. I appreciate you hanging out. Like I said, I like all the interactions, Michael. If you're still here, I like people hanging out and just sharing their stories. I like to help people as much as I can. And like I said, you're gonna need a business, guys. So hang in there, and I'll talk.